Did you know that Apple, the tech giant that once ruled the world, could be facing a jaw-dropping trillion-dollar loss in 2025? Shocking, right? The iPhone, Apple's golden goose, is caught in a global tug-of-war, with 8 major countries aligning with India and China in a battle that's shaking the tech industry to its core. From skyrocketing tariffs to supply chain chaos, this is a story you need to hear. If you love India and want to stay updated on this epic showdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. Let's dive into the chaos, counting down the 8 countries standing with India and China in this iPhone war, from number 8 to number 1. Starting our countdown at number 8, we have Brazil, a powerhouse in South America that's flexing its muscles in this global iPhone drama. In 2025, Brazil has joined India and China in challenging Apple's dominance, driven by its push for local manufacturing and economic sovereignty. With tariffs on imported electronics soaring, Brazil is incentivizing Apple to set up iPhone production locally, aligning with India's manufacturing boom. Recent updates show Apple exploring partnerships with Brazilian firms to assemble iPhones, aiming to dodge hefty import taxes. This move mirrors India's strategy, where Apple now produces 20% of global iPhones, up from near zero a few years ago. Brazil's government is offering subsidies to tech giants. But it's not just about economics. Brazil's alignment with India and China signals a broader resistance to US-led trade policies. As Apple navigates this, its stock took a hit in April 2025, with analysts warning of a potential $1.6 trillion valuation drop if trade tensions escalate further. Brazil's role in this iPhone war is a bold statement. Local production or bust. At number 7, Russia steps into the fray, adding fuel to the iPhone warfire. In 2025, Russia's frosty relations with the US have pushed it closer to China and India, especially as Apple faces tariff nightmares. Russia has imposed strict regulations on foreign tech companies, demanding local data storage and manufacturing. This aligns with China's push to limit Apple's influence, as Beijing discourages iPhone purchases by government employees. Recent reports from August 2025 highlight Russia's 50% tariffs on US goods, making iPhones pricier for its consumers. Apple's response? It's reportedly eyeing joint ventures with Russian tech firms to produce budget iPhone models locally, mirroring its India pivot. This move could save Apple from tariff losses, but risks further straining its US ties. Russia's strategic alignment with India and China is a geopolitical chess move, challenging Apple's supply chain and contributing to its potential trillion-dollar valuation dip. The iPhone war is heating up, and Russia's not backing down. Sliding into number 6, South Korea brings its tech prowess to the iPhone war. Known for Samsung, Apple's biggest rival, South Korea is aligning with India and China to diversify global tech manufacturing. In 2025, South Korea is pushing for a slice of Apple's supply chain, leveraging its advanced semiconductor industry. With US tariffs hitting China hard, up to 104% on Chinese goods, South Korea is offering Apple incentives to shift some iPhone component production to its shores. Recent updates from June 2025 show Apple in talks with Korean suppliers like LG to produce displays, reducing reliance on Chinese parts. This move could stabilize Apple's supply chain, but adds to its costs, contributing to the feared trillion-dollar loss. South Korea's alignment with India's manufacturing incentives and China's tech restrictions signals a united front against Apple's China-centric model. The iPhone war is reshaping global tech, and South Korea is playing a smart game. At number 5, Japan joins the iPhone war with its technological might and strategic alignment with India and China. In 2025, Japan is capitalizing on US-China trade tensions, offering Apple a stable alternative for iPhone production. With China facing over 100% tariffs, Japan's low 10% tariff rate makes it an attractive hub. Recent reports from April 2025 indicate Apple is expanding its supplier base in Japan, with companies like Sony providing camera components for the iPhone 17 series. This shift supports India's growing role as a manufacturing hub as Japan supplies high-tech parts to Indian factories. Japan's move is strategic, balancing its US alliance with economic ties to Asia. However, Apple's pivot increases production costs by 5 to 10%, chipping away at its valuation. Japan's role in this war underscores a global shift away from China, potentially costing Apple billions in market cap. The iPhone war is a high-stakes game, and Japan's in it to win. Coming in at number 4, Vietnam is a rising star in the iPhone war, aligning with India and China to challenge Apple's supply chain. In 2025, Vietnam has become a key manufacturing hub, with Apple ramping up iPhone assembly to avoid U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods. Recent updates from May 2025 show Apple partnering with Foxconn's Vietnamese facilities, producing iPhone 16 models for the U.S. market. Vietnam's lower labor costs and proximity to India's supply chain make it a strategic ally. However, China's restrictions on engineers traveling to Vietnam, reported in June 2025, are slowing Apple's shift, threatening its production timeline. This bottleneck could exacerbate Apple's potential $1.2 trillion valuation loss if Chinese sales also tank. Vietnam's alignment with India's 25% global iPhone production goal by 2025 strengthens this Asian bloc, pushing Apple to rethink its China-heavy strategy. The iPhone war is rewriting the rules, and Vietnam's on the front lines. At number 3, Mexico enters the iPhone war, leveraging its proximity to the U.S. and trade agreements to align with India and China. In 2025, Mexico is wooing Apple with tax breaks and free trade zone incentives to set up iPhone assembly plants. Recent reports from April 2025 show Apple exploring Mexican factories to produce iPhone components, reducing reliance on China amid 54% U.S. tariffs. This move supports India's export surge, with $17.4 billion in iPhones shipped to the U.S. in 2025. Mexico's strategic position could save Apple billions in tariff costs, but adds logistical challenges, contributing to its valuation risks. By aligning with India's manufacturing push and China's market influence, Mexico is reshaping Apple's supply chain. The iPhone war is a global chessboard, and Mexico's making bold moves to secure its spot. Landing at number 2, Indonesia is a key player in the iPhone war, joining India and China to diversify Apple's manufacturing. In 2025, Indonesia's government is offering subsidies to attract Apple's iPhone production, aiming to mirror India's success. Recent updates from June 2025 indicate Apple is setting up assembly lines with local partners, targeting Southeast Asian markets. With China's 34% retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, Indonesia's lower 26% tariff rate makes it a cost-effective hub. This shift could mitigate Apple's losses, but increases production costs, feeding into the trillion-dollar valuation threat. Indonesia's alignment with India's 60% iPhone production growth and China's tech restrictions strengthens this bloc, pushing Apple to diversify or face financial fallout. The iPhone war is a global power struggle, and Indonesia is ready to cash in. Topping our list at number 1, Germany stands tall in the iPhone war, aligning with India and China to challenge Apple's supply chain dominance. In 2025, Germany is leveraging its advanced manufacturing and EU market access to attract Apple's iPhone production. Recent reports from May 2025 show Apple expanding its supplier network in Germany, focusing on high-tech components like chips and batteries. With China's tariffs soaring and India producing $22 billion in iPhones, Germany's stable economy and lower 10% tariffs make it a prime hub. This move could save Apple from tariff losses, but adds to its 5 to 8% higher production costs, risking a $1.6 trillion valuation drop. Germany's alignment with India's manufacturing surge and China's market influence signals a united front against Apple's China-centric model. The iPhone war is a global wake-up call, and Germany's leading the charge. And there you have it, the 8 countries shaking up Apple's world in the iPhone war of 2025. From Brazil to Germany, these nations are rewriting the rules of tech manufacturing, aligning with India and China to challenge Apple's trillion-dollar empire. If you found this deep dive into the iPhone war eye-opening, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on the tech battles shaping our world. Drop a comment below. Which country do you think will win this iPhone war? Let's keep the conversation going.